Welcome, everybody, to the next edition of Bats and Stats. I'm here, as always, Brian, and my compadre, as always, Ross. And we have a super duper exciting guest, Taylor Case, with the Dynasty Gurus. I'm pretty excited, and this is going to be a really, really fun podcast. Taylor, please, man, introduce yourself. Give me some sort of riveting experience that you have with fantasy. Give me something, anything.
Riveting experience with fantasy, huh?
Or with fantasy baseball.
Just fantasy baseball. You want to hear about my riveting fantasy?
Narrow it down, yeah.
I was like, that was a hard right turn right there, right out of the gate. I love that. Riveting experiences, man. I mean, this is a fun, goofy game that we all play. I mean, I don't know that I have any riveting experiences. I've won some leagues in the last couple of years. I've lost more than I've won, but I think we probably all in the same boat in that case. I still think I'm pretty good at this. Leading a good group here at TDG. I don't have a whole lot. I mean, I'm still I'm racking my brain for a riveting fantasy experience.
Well, that's what I'm here for. I want to make everybody just like
being on this pod. Does that count as a riveting fantasy experience? Being on this podcast?
You've made it if you're on Bats and Stats.
Yeah.
I mean we're thrilled to have you because this is brand new, right? We just got this launched over the off season and we're learning a lot about how to better make a podcast. And you've got a lot of experience with this. I've been saying this for a long time. Taylor, you have the radio voice, man.
For sure.
We're born for podcasting or radio or something.
Thank you. No, that it helps that I've had a bit of a cold. I was telling you guys beforehand, I've got this kind of like low rasp to my voice in the past couple of weeks. So it kind of gives me this kind of like sexy undertone to it. Which is not really me. I just lucked out to be on the pod with that extra tone there. So, but I appreciate you saying that. I do. My voice is right on the edge of being lost. So if I lose it halfway through, I'll just try to chug half of my peach beer over here, and I will do my best to get back in it. But I'm trying.
Don't spoil things with the peach beer, man. That's the next segment.
That's just a teaser. That's just a fantasy teaser.
Yeah, well, we're excited to have you. Just to give some context and background, Taylor is what do you call it? Editor-in-chief?
You called me Kingmaker earlier, and
Kingmaker.
I kind of like that. I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of cool. I don't know. I managing editor is technically the title that goes under my name in my emails when I do email anything from the Dynasty Guru. But you can call me that. You can call me T. You can call me. My family calls me Tito. I don't know where that came from. Friendly Dynasty neighborhood dad. That one's been around for a while. Call me whatever you want. I'll if it's in my direction, I'll answer.
Yeah. Okay. So managing editor, the Dynasty Guru, for about a year and a half. Getting on.
Year. We're coming up on 2 years, right? No, I don't know. I think about a year and a half. Yeah, let's say a year and a half.
Okay. Well, we go back. We've worked together a lot on different articles that have been published, and so Taylor is just one of the nicest guys that you'll ever meet, and he's a good fantasy baseball mind, obviously too, to be running the Dynasty Guru. There's a lot of people involved in that operation, so keeping that thing running straight takes a lot of work. So.
There are a lot of people, but there are a lot of people to help, and so and both of you are not giving yourselves enough credit, being writers and having been on Join the Ranks and doing. You guys do a shit ton of writing. Am I allowed to say that?
Oh yeah.
Say whatever you want. Cool. We got no rules.
I'm not gonna. Nothing will be super weird. I know that's gonna freak out Ryan when he watches this because I know he doesn't think I cuss. You're gonna have to edit that out because it's gonna freak Ryan out. Professor Ryan. I don't know. You guys are not getting. I mean, you guys do so much work. All of the writers and everybody podcasts and ranks and Ken and Greg and Chris and it used to be Shelley and Keaton and all of them too. I mean, everybody, there's so many people. And so it seems like I do a lot, and I'm not going to dissuade anybody from thinking I do a lot, because I do actually do a lot, but I have a lot of help too. So I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a shameless plug for the Dynasty Guru right now.
Yeah,
when I first had, kind of started climbing into the fantasy baseball thing, that was the only website that I would look at. The ranking systems, it was the only thing that I would look at. And I shot out a couple articles to Keaton when he was still, bugging around and stuff. I was trying to get, to be a writer, and then finally he gave me the go ahead, and
nice.
I am.
Very nice.
The Dynasty Guru.com, guys, you got to go look at it. It should be your first. Well, okay, it should be your second, and then.
It should be used in unison, right? Because
there you go,
2 tabs open, right?
Yes, 2 different paths up the mountain. Like there's a little bit. We all do stats at TDG too, but we don't. It's not as high powered, I would say. So.
Yeah, well, and there's a reason that I got my start at the Dynasty Guru too, for the same reasons that Brian is saying. It was the place that I went to, Yeah. So I saw on Twitter one day that they were looking for writers, and I was like, maybe that would be something to do. I love doing the fantasy stuff. I am obsessed with researching this stuff every day, so I might as well see if I can lend a hand somewhere. So that's how it all got started for me too. So yeah,
we're lucky to have both of you. Seriously, lucky to have both of you there. Yeah. When did you start, Ross?
For me, it was in 2019.
Okay, so it was right before me.
Yeah, so just before this, well, a few months. I think my first article was like in January or February of 2019. So it was a few months before the season started, and that was like all strategy based. Like, this is how I approach fantasy. That was my first article, and meanwhile, Jordan's doing all this big brain like research sort of based articles, and I'm just like, this is my strategy. And I don't know, I guess those two things combined, they kind of clicked, because he liked what I had written. I was interested in what he was writing. So yeah.
Something clearly clicked.
Yeah.
You guys are taking up. I see new people. I've been sent out a TDG like Discord invite in a week or so, and we've had maybe 10 new people show up. They're not coming from me. They must be coming from you.
Yeah. We're doing good. We're growing. I'll spend a minute maybe just, I don't know, gushing a little bit about the Scout the Stat Line growth, because it has been tremendous. I could not be happier with the way things have gone. We went from posting our stuff there just to have like a home for it, somewhere to put it, to kind of trying to ramp that up. And we had no designs with this. I want to make that super clear. We had no designs with any of this stuff. We just thought it was cool and helpful for us, and we're putting it up there. And then we just started updating it more frequently. And then this year it's like, now we've got articles, we got people that are contributing to the website, we got this podcast. None of this stuff was ever in my mind. It just started happening. And so now we're rolling with it, and we're growing. I mean, the Twitter presence has boomed. The website itself, from a traffic perspective, again, I'm an obsessed numbers guy, so I'm looking at this stuff all the time. I mean, it's growing remarkably fast. Our membership base is growing quite a bit.
Very cool.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's incredible.
That's very cool.
I love it. And it gives me an opportunity to turn this into something that's kind of like a community driven, I don't want to say business, but project is maybe more of an appropriate term.
Yeah.
And that's what I would love to do. Who doesn't want to do what they love doing all the time? So
on the back,
good at it. Yeah.
yeah. Very good at it. On the back side of that, I would love more people to get onto the Discord for the Dynasty Gurus, because that Discord is a really good time. Yeah. You have to date thing. Like there's elbow injuries that come out, I think, before the pitcher even gets hurt. Like at this point, it's been insane. How does one get onto the Discord?
That's a good question. And I guess it's time for me to gush a little bit. And I agree with you. We've had a ton of fun with that. I think it's been a really fun just addition to the community as a whole. Actually, in an effort to actually create a real community, people have been donating to the site for a long time, but there's been no like tangible way to, in a smaller setting, get in touch with gurus. Or I mean, you could used to be able to just email, Keaton or whoever, and he would pass around emails, or on Twitter, right? It's a little more personal this way. So I'm still very excited about it. It gets a little out of control sometimes trying to keep up with everything, but I feel like for the most part, I've got a couple other people. I know Ross, both you guys are in there all the time. So I appreciate that. I don't tell you guys that enough. I appreciate everybody, like just getting, even if it's just like a finger every once in a while, like answering a question here or answering, when I send out the back calls. It's great. So how do you get in? Well, you can either donate to the site, and there's going to be a couple cool things showing up in the next couple months. I think are going to be worth donating if you haven't yet. It's just $15 for the year, and you get access to, countless lists of rankings all on one enormous spreadsheet. Consensus rankings, consensus top 200 prospect rankings, consensus top 500 rankings, and then each position as well at in the minor leagues and the major leagues. So those alone are super useful. The Discord, I think, has been great, for immediate feedback as well. The other way, you could wait around, like maybe once a month I give out a couple, you guys can write a review, and sometimes I give out free stuff for that, or sometimes I just send out randomly 10 invites just for fun. So that happens every once in a while. If you get lucky, if you're paying around, you're still hanging out on Twitter and paying attention to the Dynasty Guru, it's worth following for that every once in a while. I do it at weird hours of the night because I am up. We were talking about Ryan being up at weird hours of the night. Sometimes I'm up at weird. I have kids, so sometimes they're up at weird hours of the night. Sometimes I'm up doing things because they're asleep. So there's a couple different ways. And I guess you could donate. The other great way to get in touch with all that is to donate or to subscribe, I should say, to Scout Statline, right? Because you guys are part of the community as well. So it's a nice partnership as well. So lots of ways. You can either try to get lucky, or you can donate, what I think and hope is not too much money for what I think you're getting back at the very least. And so lots of ways to get involved. I'm 100% biased, obviously. I created the damn thing, but it has been so far a very big success. I think so far we've helped a lot of people through their drafts, through startup drafts, redrafts, first year player drafts. There's been a ton of discussion. One of the cool things that we started doing was, for everybody listening, is when we do our consensus rankings, and hint, hint, wink, wink, we might be doing those again mid-season, which is going to be a ton of fun and totally crazy. It's something I don't have time for, but we're going to do anyway. What we do the first time around is we do like a pre-round of consensus rankings, and then all of us get together and yell at each other and debate, in-house at the TDG Slack, and then we send out an updated ones, as well. People add people in, move people up, move people down. I make final decision because I'm in charge and I get to do that. And then you can see where people moved relative to their kind of a human element, because sometimes guys, get lost. Sometimes people, when you're ranking, in the end, we're all ranking. You guys did it with us, and you rank 600, 700, 1,000 people at the end. So you can see I highlight the guys we've discussed. So the guys that we really honed in on, guys that fell, guys that big risers. And then that's going to be, I know that's been a little bit of a topic of discussion, like how worthwhile is it doing rankings, 5 to 6 months after we last did consensus rankings. But if you've watched any baseball this year, which I assume a lot of you have, I know you guys have. Apologize, I keep clearing my throat.
It's all right.
The stuff is different than it was 5 or 6 months ago. The pitch clock is a thing that has I don't want to say it's changed things, like dramatically for pitchers, but it does feel like for some pitchers, it has changed things dramatically. People are hurt. People have been called up more unexpected. There's been 1,000 pitcher call-ups, right? So all that to say, we will likely be doing re-ranking all of our positions and a couple of the top 500s as well, maybe prospects. I haven't touched base with Ken on the prospects yet. But so that's coming. So hopefully if you guys are interested, it's worth getting in there now to get acquainted with the Discord. And then within the next month or two, we will have those for you to help with your trades, around the All-Star break.
That's awesome. And I want to say something about the Discord as well. I think this is a great idea. And it felt like it fit really well with Scout the Stat Line, because I felt like there was like a community that was missing, and I wanted to give that, but I couldn't do it myself. And Taylor had this great idea of, the site is called the Dynasty Guru. There's a presumption that you have experts, and what good are experts if you can't actually tap into that resource? Well, the Discord gives you an opportunity to tap directly into those experts. I can't answer every question that comes my way all the time. I try to get back to everybody. That's always my goal, of course, but I get a lot of messages these days. And so when I'm unavailable, well, I
see it on Twitter. Yeah, I know, man.
Here's some examples. Like, somebody reached out to me about a draft pick. I'm working things during my regular life too. And if it's a couple hours before I can get back, it's like, it's too late. I can't give that advice of like, well, this is who I would take if that person's already picked. The Dynasty Gurus Discord is a totally different story, because people can get that advice on demand from a group of really smart experts. There's a tremendous amount of talent that is at the Dynasty Guru that pitches in on that Discord. So I think it's fantastic.
Before we get into a lot of good stuff, I want to introduce some beers. And Taylor, I'd like you to go first, man, because you did mention a peach beer, and I don't know what a peach beer is.
Well, so yeah, I am drinking Mother Earth.
Mother Earth. Company.
Very good. They have a very good vanilla cream ale. This is Cali Cream and peaches and cream. And it's very good. I've actually never had a full one before. They do an orange cream, which is kind of like, like an orange creamsicle. It's very, very good. They do it on nitro here in California. It's very California. This is a very California beer, which is where a very San Diego beer, which is where I hail from. And this is peaches and cream. It's actually delightful. It was also happened to be the only beer I had in my fridge in the moment. My wife drank the only IPA that we had, or that we had left the other night. So, which is her right. So I've got this peach beer, but I actually, and I wasn't sure if I was going to like it, but I really do. It's very good, and I highly recommend it to everyone.
Nice.
That's good. What was that name again? Mother Earth?
Mother Earth
Brewing.
Mother Earth Brewing. Here we go.
Peaches and cream.
Peaches and cream, Mother Earth.
We got the surfboard. We got the peaches and cream.
Yeah.
There comes our next sponsor.
Yeah, here we go.
I'm reaching out already. Yeah.
Ross, good sir, what do you got?
Well, let's see. Now, where's my opener? I know I had it over here. Got everything else.
Which beer do I want to choose?
Yeah. Okay, here it is. I found it. Now, okay, this is going to be a mystery. Can't see this very well, but this is. Oh, that light is.
Yeah, really bright.
Hold on. Let's try this.
There we go.
Okay, no vacancy.
Looks like a wine, man.
Street, the Bud
is it a cider or something?
Hotel. So this is what it says about this. Let me get this light back on. It says a wild ale brewed with I'm gonna butcher this, Brettanomyces, aged in oak, there followed by re-fermentation over Flathead Valley cherries. Okay, so wow. I couldn't even tell you what half of that meant. So
right, let us know.
It's like you're drinking wine, man. It really is like you're drinking wine.
Oh, that's very pinkish.
Which is fine. I didn't.
I love wine.
Yeah,
I love wine.
Well, I think it is aged in. Yeah, I think it said cherry
something.
oak barrels,
It's a big beer.
like wine barrels.
It's a big glass, dude. I like it.
Das Boot.
A Das Boot.
Okay.
Das Cherry Boot.
So that's like a it almost tastes like a sour. I don't think it actually is a sour. Brian, we've had Lawfully before. This is kind of like that a little bit. It's very it's hard to describe. It definitely has a sourness to it, a little bit of sweetness, but it's not a strong sweetness, more sour.
Describe it as if it was a prospect.
Oh, it's just
silky. Did it bat 300?
Silky smooth swing. It's gonna be a superstar. Very unknown, underrated.
Got it. So it's like the Jonathan Clase of beers. That's what we're doing here. All right.
Yeah, exactly. That's the historical comp.
Love it.
All right.
I have a very familiar one. I think everybody's probably had this. It's Shock Top. This was probably my earliest of different beers that wasn't a domestic. I think a lot of people are going to say Shock Top. Yeah, that's when I ventured out and tried something different on beers. And that's why I bought it tonight. Because I was just like, I haven't had a Shock Top forever. I drink these Bent Nails and different IPAs, and I want a Shock Top. It's not as good as I remember.
Oh, really? That's because you don't have an orange in it, man.
That's true, right? And it does.
Slice in there.
It tastes just like an orange peel. That's exactly right.
I remember the days, early 20s, drinking Shock Tops. That was a thing.
Yeah, Blue Moons, Shock Tops. That was always the thing. Let's go get one of them. It's still really good. Don't get me wrong. Shock Top, if you want to sponsor us.
It's a lot of fruity, a lot of fruit in these beers. Peaches, oranges, and cherries, and what was it? Wildflowers, whatever you're drinking, Ross?
No, it's cherry. Well, yeah, I think it's mostly cherry.
Was it made in a kiln?
They have some barrels on the
it's mead.
So it's some kind of I don't know. That's pretty wild. It's good though,
Good.
I'm good with it. Check it out, Thirsty Street.
Yeah.
Thirsty Street. All right.
Nice. Okay, so before we get too off topic, let's jump into something that I wanted to share with you guys. I made a few trades the last couple days, and
wow. Okay, here we go. So we're all looking at the same thing.
Is that coming beautiful. Through okay?
Yeah. I just wasn't expecting it. This is beautiful.
Yeah. So I made a few trades on Sunday, and I talked to a couple league members. Ross was one of them, and then a friend of mine, Bo and Tyrell. They both said, "Hey, man, you need to go get some average, and you need to go get some on base." So I traded Kyle Schwarber, Patrick Wisdom for Zach Eflin, Brian Mata, a second-round draft pick, a third-round draft pick, Jake Alou, and Gavin Stone. Now, that was my third trade of the day. Okay? So, like, after they had said the on-base percentage and everything like that, I was like, what am I going to do? And how am I going to, like, make my team better? I should have started with a different trade, but I didn't. So the first trade that I made was I traded for Brandon Nimmo, and I gave up Joey Weimer, Blade Tidwell, Gunnar Hoagland, Ronnie Mauricio, and Owen Miller because of the on-base percentage stuff. The second one I did was Matt McLean and a second-round draft pick for Brian Reynolds. And then
really taking advantage of that Matt McLean hype.
I wanted to share these trades with you guys because at the end of the day, I traded 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I traded 6 prospects for basically 3 normal MLBers.
Yeah.
And I don't want you guys to be afraid to be able to trade prospects to go get MLBers. I know that's a lot of the things that we talk about is prospects. I know you're always looking for the next best thing, but it's okay to let these guys go because we don't know what they're going to be, and you can go ahead and turn and burn them for actual real life MLBers. Can you guys second that?
Life, yeah.
That's been a topic in the Discord, speaking of, and I am I'm a prospect hound. There's no doubt about it. But there are some prospects that I will not trade. Like I won't.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's a very, very small amount. Yeah. For the most part, 99% of them, I'm totally willing to ship them out if I can improve my team and get some production. Yeah, I'm absolutely willing to do that. That's different if you're in a rebuild. I think if you're in the midst of a rebuild, there's no sense in shipping them out. There are those players, and we have some in the Discord that they're out there competing every year. That's a different style than the approach I take. I'm trying to build a team that I know is going to be absolutely dominant for a stretch. That's my goal. So usually I'm pulling in a lot of minor league talent. I'm continuing to churn and burn that talent to try to get better talent. That's always my goal, is to get maximum talent. And I think I've been pretty good at doing that over the years. But if I'm in a competitive window, yeah, I will ship those guys out. Or if I'm trying to make the turn from being, collecting all those assets to being a competitive team, yeah, absolutely. And Brian, you've seen that in our league.
Yep.
I went from having all these prospects to practically zero because I was like, everybody's gone because I need a relief pitcher or whatever it might be. Whatever the gap was, they're gone because I need to fill that position, and that's what I'm willing to do.
Yep.
What's your thoughts, Taylor?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of valid ways to go about this. I typically fall in line, or I fall on the side of drafting, even in a dynasty, drafting to win, and then going deep with prospects, right?
Yep.
And then trading them away for certain areas I need to prop up, each year. You know what I mean? Even in very deep leagues, I do that. I've done that successfully in 12 teamers and 16 teamers and 30 teamers, right? So mostly because I consider myself a fairly patient person when it comes to winning in fantasy baseball. Like I want to win right now. And what I found, and what I found in leagues in general, is that a lot of people in startup drafts take more of that approach. Ross, you're like build a strong foundation and then build the house like over the next year, year and a half, 2 years or so, until you got a full blown, let's use that house now, you got a 2-story house, right? So, So I take, that, which is a very valid approach. And especially if you're following, all you listeners and watchers out there, viewers, whatever we say, if you're following, Scout Statline, and you are going to know a lot of the deep prospects that come out of nowhere. Well, you're going to know about them sooner than a lot of other people know about them, right? So it's a valid way of doing things. I personally put just a little bit more emphasis on guys that are already there, right? Not because I think prospects all the time flame out. I mean, I know they do. I know pitching prospects get hurt. I know hitting prospects get hurt or don't work out. And it's a tough game, right? The guys that are already there are already there. And even a middling or slightly below average MLB player is more useful in a deeper league than any minor leaguer who hasn't thrown out a single pitch or had a single plate appearance, right? So yeah. I don't think I'm like, it's not like a novel idea or anything. That's just kind of the side that I fall on most of the time. I'm instead of building the house from the ground up, I buy a house, and then I flip it, and then I redo the inside, and then I
That's a
we resell
really
it,
good
right?
analogy.
So, and then we just kind of do that every every other year or so, and you try to stay competitive. And for the most part, I've had pretty good success doing that, right? I have the advantage of being around baseball people like you guys all the time, right? Or doing podcasts, or just I used to be on Twitter all the time. I'm not on Twitter as much anymore. And if you're paying attention to like beat writers and other like Twitter folk who are out watching games, you're going to stumble upon guys like, random really good players that you wouldn't like. 2 years ago, Graham Ashcraft was like, nobody knew who he was, right? But Shelly's husband said something about him. His name's Rudy. He said something about him, I think it was 2.5 years ago, and it was in a 30-team league, and he was on the waiver wire. And I was like, okay, well, what the hell? He's there. I've got an empty spot. Why don't I pick him up? And I ended up trading him away, right, in the trade to get Jordan Romano. But like, if you're paying attention, and you're active on the waiver wire, and you're active in trades, and you're confident doing all of that, both ways can work. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely agree that there is not one way to do it. We see this in Brian and I's league that we've been in for years together. I mean, and it's well known the types of people, or the people that build the certain types of teams. There's my approach. There's like our buddy Chris's approach, and he's definitely that reload guy. Like he's stocked up on prospects right now. It wouldn't surprise me if by midseason he's traded them all for major league talent again, because that's how he builds his team.
Some people are really good at that. I'm an emotional player. Like, I appreciate you saying that earlier when we started this conversation, Brian. Like, it's okay to trade these guys away.
Yeah.
But I'm just like any other guy. I get guys I'm really excited about, like new players, or if I've got like a Jordan Walker on my team, you're real excited when he comes up and he doesn't, he does okay, but not great. And he's sent back down. And you're like, maybe maybe the height builds a little bit and I trade him away, but like, I'm attached to these guys. You know what I
mean? I'll tug at your heartstrings just a little bit.
Why?
I acquired Trent Grisham, I think 2 years ago.
Okay.
At his height, I love Trent Grisham. Like, there was no way. He was my number one outfielder, no matter what. Like, he's not going anywhere. I don't care what happens. When I had to trade him, like, I think I lost sleep for like a week. I get really attached to my guys.
I mean, it's hard not to. I mean, we're people, they're people. I'm rooting for these guys. He was somebody, I remember writing up before the 2020 season thinking, I really like this guy. And then especially I think when you write about somebody and you're right, like you really get it right. Mm-hmm. And maybe it was based a little bit in luck, and maybe maybe he was propped up a little bit by whatever they were doing with the ball back then.
Sure.
And probably was, right? At the time we didn't, I wasn't on, I don't even know if I was on Twitter back then. So like, you get news faster about that kind of stuff when you're on Twitter, but I don't think I knew. And so I think in subsequent years, you get a guy right, and you're like, you try to steal, like you're loyal, like they give a shit about you or anything. Like they don't care.
Oh, they do.
But it's hard to let go of that,
Well, and I think in this business there's a lot of planting your flag. And so when you've said like, this is the guy, he's gonna be the guy, letting go of that is pretty hard. There's been some, I'm usually pretty good with doing that, like not getting too attached. I tend to try to get attached to the numbers themselves more so than the player or the person. Of course, there's the human element of it. That's always hard to detach yourself from. But
it is.
I think if you're more focused on the reality of the situation, it's better for fantasy, right? For obvious reasons, because then you can cut the cord. Because we're not right about everybody. There's a few players that it doesn't look like I was right on as breakouts for this year. Christian Santana. I still like a lot of what I'm seeing in the numbers, but you can't hit under 100 and be a successful player. It's just not going to happen. So,
no,
like, he's a guy I keep going back to. And then I hear from people on Twitter will remind me of other guys, like I keep getting told about Brandon Walter. Brandon Walter wasn't one of my darlings. That was an STS guy, not one of me personally, but Christian Santana was. I thought he was going to be a breakout this year. It didn't work out, or hasn't so far.
People love to do that though. I mean, and it's really not like, it's not necessary to call us out on all of those. I mean, in the end, like, it's just like hitting, right? Like getting 3 hits out of every 10 at bats is like Hall of Fame good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and it's hard. Like some people are really good at it and some people are really bad at it. And you can go back and look at my rankings that I released on opening day, and I'm sure there are guys on there that are misranked, and that's how it goes.
That is life, man.
That's life. Exactly. That's life.
2 points there. I mean, the first one is somebody on Twitter. This just happened today. They messaged me and they called me an expert, and that's really nice. But I was like, look, I appreciate that. I do, but it's more so that I'm just a guy that really likes baseball and I obsessively research the numbers. Like that's all it really is. I've never really claimed to be an expert. I'm trying to bring people good information. Absolutely. And that brings me to my second point. And the second point is, while it is important, and while I think Scout the Stat Line as an example is trying to be right as much as possible, it's not always about being right. It's more about the velocity of information. How do you respond when you're not right? Because that's what makes the difference between you being a decent fantasy baseball player versus being a great, in my opinion, because everybody's wrong. As you said, the analogy of hitting a baseball was great. If you're right 3 out of 10 times and you realize you're wrong, having that extra velocity of information and being able to adjust accordingly gives you an advantage, because most people are a little slower to adjust. So if you know ahead of time, like, this isn't working out with this guy, his market value is still sky high, I'm going to move him for somebody that I think is going to provide the sort of return that this guy I was hoping would provide. It happens to everybody. You got to adjust. You got to move on.
Yeah.
That's hard to do. It's really hard to do because
it's hard to do.
Human element. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. Especially when you're accustomed to doing, like, let's say you're doing well or you did well in a league before. It's hard to admit that. I mean, it's hard to admit that you're wrong. It's hard for me to admit that I'm wrong about anything, but I'm a proud guy. But you do it and you move on and you pivot and you find a new angle, or you make a trade, or you pick somebody new up, and it happens. And it feels like it's coming in, like, as soon as something hits Twitter, boom, it's in Discord, boom, arm injury, boom, out for the season, boom, this guy's getting called up, boom,
Yeah, and that's exactly the point of velocity of information I was saying. I mean, first it's like, it used to be you got a newspaper. And for me, I was pouring through box scores. That's how I did my research when I was younger. And then you get the internet and you got better information. You got more of it, and it's coming faster. You get to see the box score immediately after it happens, not waiting for the next day. And then you got Twitter. Twitter comes out, and all of a sudden it's like this vast new, I don't know, aura of energy kind of just flowing right into your fingertips. Well, now you got this Discord where it's like, and I'm not saying this is the end of the evolutionary, I don't know, spectrum or anything like that, but you got this Discord where it's all filtered. There's zero noise in there. It's all directly for what you would want to know. Prospects, news, trade advice, like, boom, you just go there, you get it right away, or you see the most up-to-date information. You're right. You're 100% spot on. It's incredible the amount of information and the quality of information that people deliver there.
Yep.
Yeah. It's huge.
I love it. I love every second of this, guys. Taylor gave us 3 picks today, and these are some really, really good ones. some very fun ones. Taylor's got some great ones. And I want to bring the first one up, which would be Nathan Martorella. And Nathan Martorella is in high A affiliate for the San Diego Padres. He's 22 years old. He's 6'1", 224 pounds.
I kind of like the fact that he's a little bit older, kind of a big, beefy boy. Like you're saying, 6'1", 224 is, that's a real big boy.
That's me.
That's you? Is it?
Probably is about right. I was going to say I'm probably creeping up to 224 these days.
Regardless, you guys can be whoever you want to be. I don't care your size. It's cool. It's cool with me. No steals out of this guy, but really hitting the ball extremely well this year, right? 6 homers and 140 plate appearances. Walk to strikeout ratio is on the walk side, which you don't see, like higher on the walk side than the strikeout side, which is something that's just so impressive. I feel like these days, right, with an emphasis on swinging out of your shoes a lot of the time, an OBP bordering on 400 and a 150 WRC plus. Just a really, really good, solid approach. I say, I make reference to, being a big beefy boy. There's nothing wrong with that. I love those players. I love the Rowdy Telez's of the world. He's that kind of feel to him. Just looking at his size and weight, again, not a knock on him. I do a little, you worry like maybe long term, maybe we're looking at like kind of a DH type. Again, which is fine, kind of limits utility in your fantasy lineup, maybe. If he hits well enough, who gives a shit about that, right? It doesn't really matter. When it kind of an advanced college bat, he's already off to a very hot start, and those numbers tell me, Ross, I want to know how he fits. I want to know how he fits in scout in STS, but like walking, having that kind of power and then still walking more than you strike out is something that I feel like is exceedingly rare these days. And I'm going to go look at it in a second while you're talking, but I don't feel like he's rostered in very many leagues.
Oh no.
No, I wouldn't. Right? I wouldn't imagine so at all. You're right. It's pretty impressive, and I think he's getting picked up on by STS overall.
Great.
And pitchers combined, he's coming in at number 108 in the ranking, and he's even getting dinged a little bit for his sample size because it's so small. Okay. So in our rankings, we tend to ding until they reach a certain level, and it slowly fades out. And so since he's only got 248 plate appearances, he's getting dinged a little bit. But for him to come in that high is notable. And I think I'm looking at like my personal formulated rank off of the projections, and he's even higher. So mine is looking a lot more at like plate discipline and metrics like that. So,
gotcha.
So yeah,
does he have a comp, Ross?
Leo Gomez. I don't know who that is.
I don't know who Leo Gomez is.
Leo Gomez.
Leo Gomez.
Take a look. He does have a comp. 1990 to 1996. So a short professional career. He had those 16 home run, 17 home run. He was a 15 home run hitting sort of talent.
Okay.
The period he was there. Looks like he had a few seasons in there.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
There's a big leaguer in there somewhere is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. I like to see the decent average with the walks and the strikeouts being right next to each other with the power still being there. I can see a solid first baseman in there. And not be scared about it at all. So Nathan Martorella, guys, keep your eyes on him. He's not a go get him. Not a go get him. He's somebody to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
But I really like it. That's a name that I didn't know.
Heck yeah, I like that. I'm trying to think of because my brain is I'm full of peaches and cream right now. I'm trying to think of the team he's playing for right now, and I am about to find it.
The Fort Wayne
Oh,
Tin
it's
Caps.
Fort Wayne. Yeah, it's Fort Wayne. For some reason, I was thinking it was the Chihuahuas, but it's not. Yeah, it's Fort Wayne. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You bet. I like it, guys.
Another
I like it.
tidbit to add here: all the players that Taylor is going to be talking about are Padres, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah, they will be Padres. Let's say
they will,
or they won't. They'll get traded away and be great somewhere else. You know, who knows? I don't care. It doesn't
Padres
bother me.
Organization. Yeah, that's.
They'll always be Padres in Taylor's eyes.
Man, they will. As I sadly look off into the distance and shed a tear. Yeah.
This next one, this one was an eye-popping one to me. This was a person that I did not know of. As soon as Taylor given to me, I researched heavily and I was astounded. This is Graham Pauley. Graham Pauley is with the single A affiliate with Padres, Lake Elsinore Storm, single A affiliate for the Padres, 22 years old. He was drafted in 2022 in round 13, pick 390 out of Duke. He is a third baseman. Guys, holy crap. So this year, in 111 at bats, he's batted 342 with an on base percentage of 479 and slugged 477. 2 home runs. He's got 27 walks, 15 strikeouts. Like Ross, before Taylor gets into this one, how high is Pauley in STS?
We love guys with great plate discipline.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's walking almost twice as much as he's struck out. He comes in at number 84 overall. And I'm surprised you hadn't heard about this guy because I wrote about him about a week and a half ago. You should have been paying attention.
Shame.
Check your player highlights,
For
man.
shame.
Come on. Yeah, Graham Pauley.
I guess I should subscribe.
You have a free membership, man.
Teasing.
Anyway, 342 batting average. You highlighted that, and 479 OBP. Those are pretty remarkable numbers. You have to wonder, and 10 stolen bases already too. So he's got some speed. You have to wonder if he's going to be able to tap into some extra power. He doesn't look like a profile that is a power type player, but you never know. Sometimes that comes a little bit later for these guys too. So what do you think about Graham Pauley? Taylor?
He's got 7 doubles too. So don't discount that power. Those 7 doubles can turn into home runs easily. Does he have a comp real quick?
He does. Another guy that I don't think we're gonna know, Paul Blair.
Oh yeah, Paul from Wisconsin.
Paul had quite a bit longer of a career.
I thought you were being serious at first. Oh yeah, Paul.
From
Wisconsin.
Paul. No, he's born in Cushing, Oklahoma. Played for the Orioles pretty much his whole career. Looks like a pretty decent ball player. I mean, you look at this guy's career and he played 16 years in the major leagues, touched on 16 years, put up 38 career wins above replacement. That's a good career. These are like the guys. I love looking up this kind of stuff because you never think about a guy like a Paul Blair until you're prompted, right? And to me, STS just prompted.
Offensive to Paul Blair fans, my friend.
Yeah.
Baltimore fans are pissed right now.
How dare you say something like that?
This guy's a Gold Glover. 1, 2, 3. Not saying that this is gonna. I mean, we're not looking at the field. Graham Polly, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Gold Gloves.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's borderline Hall of Fame at this point, isn't he?
I mean,
I'm serious.
Graham Polly, go pick him up.
you get into the 40 wins above replacement, you're getting in that conversation. You get up to about 50 in it.
Is that what he has?
Pretty close. 30, 38, 37.
That's impressive. That's impressive. I don't know much about him. In fact, I don't know shit about him.
Wow.
Yeah. Very cool. That makes me feel even better about this. I don't have a ton to add. This is kind of a it's like browse the box scores kind of guy that I stumbled upon, and then you go to Fangraphs and you're like, oh, okay, that that confirms what I thought I was seeing in the box, and it looks really good. I mean, 140 plate appearances and almost a 500 OBP. You can't ignore that. So regardless of whatever else is coming, but he's got almost 50 RBIs and runs to go with it, and 10 steals. That's great. There you go. You combo up Martorella with Polly and you're set right there.
There you go.
And just
all the Padres.
Yeah, just wait. Lake Elsinore is hot. I mean, I guess not just wait. He could start hitting some homers. I know that he's not really he may not hit him like Martorella, but something to keep in mind. It gets, the last game I went to go see Lake Elsinore, it gets hot, like 100 plus hot there. So
whereabouts is Lake Elsinore?
It's about an hour 15 north of San Diego, so about an hour north of me. So still Southern California, still kind of, it's like southeast of LA, kind of out in the, just out east a little bit.
He starts hitting home runs and he's like an instant ad in my opinion.
Yeah, he's gonna shoot way up.
Yeah.
He's gonna shoot way up. Again, someone to keep an eye on. I don't have a whole lot to add context wise. I may, in the next month or so, I'm going to try to go see a couple Lake Elsinore games. So I'll try to get some video and live looks at those guys.
Nice.
Last year, I think it was last year or maybe the year before, I was able to see Robert Hassel, and there was somebody else there too at the time. I can't remember who, but it's a lot of good players that come through Lake Elsinore. So
yeah,
and obviously the organization knows that as well, because then they start to play well there and then they trade them away. So sometimes that's good and sometimes that's bad, but I'll reiterate again for maybe the third, fourth time. He's definitely somebody worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah.
Nice. I love it. Fun little tidbit. I'm sitting here staring at MILB.com. Kid's got a great smile. Great smile.
He's got the look.
Hey, that's not worth nothing. I like that.
Hey, it's a big deal.
He's got the look.
You can't smile. You can't make it, man.
Billy Bean is just so disappointed right now.
Surprised you guys didn't know that.
I know it now.
All right. You got one more.
We got one more. And me and Ross talked about him a little bit in the offseason. It's Eggy Rosario. Eggy Rosario is a third baseman for the San Diego Padres. He is not 5'7". He is not 150 pounds. He is 23 years old. He was born in Juan Barren, Dominican Republic. I say not because that is what they have him listed at, and he's got to be weighing at least 200 pounds. He's a muscular guy. I don't care how short he is. He's a big guy. He's not 150 pounds. Eggy,
at the very least, he carries himself as like he looks like he's a strong dude.
Yeah, he's a big guy. So he's had a fractured ankle all year. He hasn't played yet this year, but last year he had 498 at bats. He batted 288, had an on base percentage of 368. He hit 22 home runs and 21 stolen bases. His strikeout percentage was a little bit high. It wasn't crazy, but he coupled that with 81 walks. So 109 strikeouts in 490 at bats, walked 59 of those. Like he was doing a really good job just controlling the strike zone. But all the counting stats are there. The guy's a counting stat machine. I don't have a whole lot to say more about this guy because I know we covered him quite a bit. But Ross, did he have a comp?
He does have a comp. Before I get there, I think 150-pound Aggie is one home run 2017 Aggie. I think 2022 Aggie is 200 pounds.
Yeah.
Anyway, he does have a historical comp, and this is somebody that you guys might remember. I know I remember this guy, Derek Bell. Does that ring a bell?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, with the Astros.
Yeah.
He was a good ball player. That was with the early 2000s, late 90s Astros. That was some pretty good ball clubs back then. He had an all right career, not exceptionally long, but he did play a good stretch, 10 years.
And yeah, he had some good seasons.
Yeah, he had some good seasons, 20 home run seasons in there, and just a consistent all-around hitter. Yeah.
Yeah.
If that's the outcome for Aggie, I would say that that's probably pretty good.
Yeah, that's about what I would say. And I think this is, I know you guys have, sounds like you've covered him a little bit. This is really just a reminder that he is alive and getting well. And I think it's probably worthwhile before any sort of steam picks up on the Aggie Rosario train, and put some feelers out there for him. It's AAA. I haven't gone back and looked at what kind of competition he was playing against last year to get to have his, this awesome 2020 season, 20 or 22 homers, 21 steals, and 180 runs and RBIs. That's beautiful, right? On his face is beautiful, right? It's just a reminder, though, that he's a good player, good all-around player, got a good arm, has, I would say, a decent chance of or being called up at some point at the end of this year, right? Who knows if he does well? I wouldn't bank on him being a superstar right away, or at all in general. I'd say, but a decent player. Another guy who I think has a decent chance at being a big leaguer, right? Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes. That's the main thing, right?
Yeah, and again, I'm not saying he's a superstar. I mean, he's got superstar numbers. I think looking at him here, I think his approach is a little bit more it needs a little bit more work, let's say, before he hits that kind of, I would say, baseline or that average major leaguer status. But I think he's capable of it. He has a little bit of prospect status, maybe a top 5 or 6 guy with the Padres right now. Yeah. Somebody I think they think highly of, and who has a chance to come up. And at some point, because it always does on Twitter and everywhere else, right? And I'm sure other people are talking about it as well. I don't know. I don't get around as much as I used to. It doesn't seem to be any sort of crazy Rosario hype right now. Is somebody just to start thinking about, somebody to check on. Maybe he's out on the wire in a 15 or 16 teamer right now. Somebody to maybe speculate on.
And don't discount 2022 because he did the same thing in 2021 in Double-A, which Double-A is my favorite league to follow. And Aggie had 420 at bats. He batted 281. Had 30 stolen bases and 12 home runs. So this wasn't a one season where he just exploded. Yeah. His Double-A numbers were really, really good too. So I completely agree with Taylor. I think this is a go get him, and I think it's going to cost you very, very, very cheap Matter of fact, you could probably throw a draft pick at this guy and might be able to get it unless the owner is just in love. But you could probably throw a draft pick at this guy.
I think he's
if you have to. He's rostered in more leagues than the other guys we've talked about. I think it looks like it's 12% in Fantrax leagues, but
yeah,
I mean that still means he's available in almost 9 out of 10 leagues. So he might just be there for nothing.
Yeah, this was a great person to bring back up again, especially with a broken ankle, and he hasn't played yet this year. Yeah, guys, go get him. This is a big one.
It is nice to see. Sorry, Ross, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, especially in a league where he's right on the cusp of the major leagues. If you're in a league where you need some help at second or third, once he gets that call up, maybe he's a pickup and he fits right in for you. He could be that guy.
Yeah, it's not going to happen this year. Obviously he's got the broken ankle, so he's still coming back from that. He's going to rehab all year long, and the Padres are loaded with utility guys. So unless a trade happens, he's not going to play this year with the Padres. Next year's probably still going to be pretty tough. You got Kim that bounces around a third, short, and second. So that's going to be a tough one for Agee to kind of break into the lineup too.
And then Tatis. Did you look that up? Is he out all year?
It doesn't say all year.
I think he's on back in the summer.
Yeah, it says 60-day DL. So he's got to do a rehab assignment. I mean, he'll be in the minors all year unless something happens with the Padres lineup, where there's an opening. But with Tatis and Kim and Machado, it's pretty tough to see him getting a call up.
Yeah.
And maybe he plays some outfield. I didn't look at that. He could play some outfield, but I don't see that in there.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, so that's a pretty tough infield to break into.
It is. He may break in as a utility guy. I would say there's a little bit better chance with him getting called up somewhere in the second half. Let's say he comes back and just starts to excel like he has in his last 1,000 at bats of minor league ball. He probably has a better chance of breaking onto the roster somewhere. I mean, we just got news tonight that Manny Machado has a fracture in his hand. He got hit last night, right? So,
I didn't hear that. I apologize.
Well, we just had Manny Machado get traded last night in our league, so that's why I think we're probably like, because we were all like, that was an awful deal.
Well, yeah, it's kind of a weird deal where it sounds like originally it was negative, but they went back and it still hurt, and they checked again, and it sounds like there's a fracture in his hand. So,
with that, guys, I appreciate everybody showing up, everybody listening. This is Bats and Stats with Ross R. Jensen and my man Taylor Case.
Thanks, guys.
You bet.